Something huge is happening in Nigeria's economy right now, maybe one of the biggest shakeups we've seen in decades. We're talking about the new 2026 tax reform bills, but what started as a simple legislative update has turned into a whole saga of public outcry, official errors, and now a bunch of major fixes. Okay, let's get into it.
So, what's really going on here? Are we just watching the government fix a few typos and errors in a new bill? Or is this a sign of a massive, fundamental reform of the entire tax system? The official word is corrections. But let's be real. These changes are only happening after a ton of pushback from people all over the country.
To really get why these corrections were even needed, we've got to rewind a bit. The first version of these bills dropped and, well, it sparked a firestorm. Critics from all corners were saying that the proposals were deeply flawed and would basically throw the economy out of balance, favoring some regions way more than others. Now, the heart of all this drama, it really boils down to one wonky-sounding concept, the VAT derivation principle. But in simple terms, just think of it like this. It's the rulebook that decides who gets which slice of the national VAT pie. And the million-dollar question is, where is that value actually being created? Okay, so here was the so-called error. Imagine you buy something in Kano, but the company's head office is in Lagos. Under the old model, the VAT you paid would often end up in Lagos's pocket. See the problem? The correction flips this on its head. Now, the idea is that the money follows the customer. The tax revenue goes to the state where you actually bought the thing. It's a huge move towards a fairer system, especially for states with lots of people but not a lot of corporate headquarters.
So, that was the problem. Now for the solution. How exactly is the government fixing all this? A special presidential committee has been hard at work fine-tuning the laws. Let's dive into the specific changes they're rolling out.
First up, they're completely redoing the math for VAT. They're proposing a new 5% development fund, and the whole formula is being rewritten from the ground up. The big takeaway here is that the goal is to be fair to everyone. Revenue should follow the real economic activity, not just a corporate mailing address. Simple as that. Next up is a really big one for businesses. To get the economy humming, the company income tax, or CIT, for large companies is getting a cut. We're talking a drop from 30% all the way down to 25%. That's a serious reduction, and the hope is it'll make Nigeria a more attractive place to invest. And listen, it's not just the big corporations getting a break. The reforms are also giving a massive helping hand to small businesses. You know, the real engine of the economy. If your business's annual turnover is below a certain amount, you will now be totally exempt from company income tax. That is a game changer for entrepreneurs. Now let's talk about something that drives everyone crazy: complexity. One of the biggest problems with the old system was just the ridiculous number of taxes. Get this, there were over 60 different taxes on the books. 60. It created this mess of nuisance taxes that made doing business an absolute nightmare. So the fix for this is pretty dramatic. They're taking that insane list of 60-plus taxes and just collapsing it, all the way down to less than 10 core ones. Yep, you heard that right. It's a massive cleanup designed to simplify everything and make it way, way easier to run a business in the country. And with the cost of living on everyone's mind, this next part is super important. The new laws are making it crystal clear that certain things should just not be taxed. Essential goods and services. We're talking basic food, education, healthcare, all of it will now officially be zero-rated for VAT. It's a direct move to shield households from inflation. Okay, so that's the big picture, but let's bring it back down to earth. What does all of this actually mean for you, for your wallet, for your company? Let's break down the direct impact this is going to have. For individuals, the tax brackets for your personal income are getting a major reshuffle. The plan is to give some relief to lower income earners while making sure high income earners contribute their fair share. Now for businesses, the mindset is shifting from tax exemptions to tax credits. And what that really means is that keeping good records is more important than ever. Seriously, meticulous paperwork is going to be your best friend if you want to benefit from these new incentives. So where do we go from here? It's really important to remember this is not a done deal yet. The process is still ongoing. So let's look at what's likely to happen next, and more importantly, how you can actually prepare for this new tax reality. And look, the presidency itself is being very open about this. They've said, quote, "The bills are not set in stone. As public hearings continue, more errors could be found and fixed before anything actually gets signed into law." So this situation is still very much developing.
So, what can you do to stay ahead of the curve? Three simple things. First, stay updated. These laws are a work in progress, so keep your ear to the ground. Second, get ready to go digital. The whole tax system is moving in that direction fast. And finally, start thinking in terms of consumption. Understanding that new model is the absolute key to making sure you're compliant and efficient going forward.
And that really brings us to the bottom line. This isn't just some technical tweak to tax law. It's a fundamental shift in how money is collected and spread around Nigeria. So as this whole system transforms, the biggest question you should be asking yourself is this: are your finances ready for what's coming next?